What if the fastest way to get your life together is to get completely, hopelessly lost? We live in a world that is obsessed with directions. We have GPS guides in our pockets, calendars mapped out months in advance, and a constant pressure to follow the quickest route to success. But sometimes, when you follow a pre-planned route too closely, you end up arriving at a destination you never actually wanted. Pull up a chair. Let me tell you the story of James, a man who followed his schedule to the letter, only to realize he had been traveling in the wrong direction for 40 years. James was 42 years old, and he was a man of absolute control. As a corporate executive in New York, his entire life was a series of tight timelines. He woke up at 5, ran 3 miles, and checked his phone before his feet even hit the floor. His days were crammed with presentations, and his calendar was a masterpiece of planning. But outside his office, his life was falling apart. His marriage had become cold and silent, and his 15-year-old daughter, Emily, had stopped talking to him. James had put his family on the back burner for years, telling himself he was doing it all for their future. In his mind, achieving the next promotion was a no-brainer. It was a crisp, overcast Thursday afternoon in late October. James was driving a rental sedan through the backroads of rural Vermont on his way to a crucial business meeting. The main highway was closed due to construction, forcing him onto a narrow, winding state route. The temperature gauge on his dashboard had been creeping up for miles. But James ignored it, too focused on making good time. Suddenly, a plume of white steam erupted from under the hood. The radiator hose had snapped. James pulled over onto a gravel shoulder. He stepped out into the chilly mountain air, popping the hood in frustration. He sighed, reaching for his phone to call a tow truck. No service. He paced back and forth, waving his phone toward the sky, but the signal bar remained empty. He was miles from any major town, surrounded by a dense, unfamiliar forest of golden oaks and tall pines. He had to make a choice. He could sit in the freezing car and wait, or walk to find help. He opened the glove compartment, finding an old hand-drawn paper tourist chart left behind by a previous renter. It showed vague local landmarks like Old Oak Tree and Mill Creek, rather than real highway exits. Still, it marked a small dotted line labeled shortcut that seemed to head toward the main route. James took a chance. He locked his car, slung his leather briefcase over his shoulder, and started walking down the dirt trail. Within an hour, he realized he had made a terrible mistake. The trail split 3 times, and none of the intersections matched the paper chart. The trees grew taller, casting long, dark shadows across the path. The temperature plunged, and a cold autumn drizzle began to fall, soaking through his expensive wool coat. James checked his watch. It was 4 o'clock. His presentation was in 16 hours, and he was completely disoriented. Panic set in. He had spent his entire life avoiding unplanned detours, and now he was stranded in the wilderness in leather dress shoes, slipping on wet leaves. He stumbled forward through the twilight. Just as the woods turned pitch black, he spotted a faint yellow glow flickering through the trees. He hurried toward it, stumbling upon a small, rugged log cabin. Smoke rose from the stone chimney. James knocked frantically on the heavy wooden door. An elderly man with a silver beard and a worn flannel jacket opened the door. "Are you lost, son?" the old woodsman asked. "My car broke down," James gasped, his teeth chattering. "I need to reach the highway. I have a presentation in the morning. My phone has no service." The old man smiled gently, stepping aside. "Well, you won't reach the highway tonight. The name is Thomas. Come inside, get warm, and let's figure out a plan." The cabin was warm and smelled of cedar and wood smoke. Thomas had lived off-grid in the hollow for 30 years without a cell phone or television. A kettle bubbled on his wood-burning stove, and a cozy fire crackled in the hearth. James paced the room, his eyes glued to his dead phone screen. "I have to get back on track, Thomas. If I miss this appointment, my career is in trouble. My whole project is on the line." The old man didn't rush him. He walked to the stove, poured a fresh mug of hot pine needle tea, and handed it to him. "Son, the highway is 15 miles through steep woods. In the dark and rain, you'd break an ankle. Sit down. The world won't end if you're late." James slowly sat on a wooden bench. He took a sip of the hot tea, feeling the heat spread through his hands. Without the constant buzz of notifications or emails, the silence in the cabin felt immense. It pressed down on him, forcing him to face things he had buried for years. He stared into the flickering fire for a long time before speaking again. He didn't talk about his job or his corporate titles. He spoke about his daughter, Emily. "She doesn't even look at me anymore," James said quietly, his voice hollow. "I promised her I would be at her 15th birthday party last month. But a project ran late, and I missed it. I told myself I was doing it for her future, but I think I've just been hiding behind my job because I didn't know how to be a real father." Thomas sat across from him, feeding a small split log into the stove. "We build these rigid highways for ourselves, thinking they lead to happiness. But a map only shows you the roads that others have built. It doesn't show you the quiet valleys, the moments that matter, or the people waiting for you at home." Those words pierced right through his corporate armor. James stared at his hands. He realized that his life had become a highly organized road to nowhere. He had been so obsessed with reaching the next landmark that he had missed his daughter growing up. "I don't know how to fix it," James admitted, tears welling in his eyes. "Sometimes," Thomas said softly, "getting lost is the only way to find your way home." By midnight, the chilly autumn rain had tapered off into a quiet mist outside. James slept deeply on a cot by the fire. He woke up at dawn to the scent of fresh pine. For the first time in 15 years, he hadn't checked his email before opening his eyes. Thomas walked him to the edge of a dirt trail, pointing toward a small country store a mile away. "They have a landline telephone there. James, you can call a tow truck." He looked back at the forest path, and then at the old man. "Thank you, Thomas. You saved my life." Thomas patted his shoulder. "Keep your eyes on the road, son, but don't forget to look at the trees." James walked to the store. He used the landline to call a tow truck for his car. But when he hung up, he didn't call his office to reschedule the presentation. Instead, he dialed his home number. "Hey," James said, his voice shaking with emotion when his wife answered. "My car broke down in Vermont. I'm okay, but I'm not going to the meeting. I'm coming home. I want to take Emily out to dinner tomorrow night. I'm so sorry." There was a long silence on the line, and then he heard his wife cry softly. "Hold on, James. Emily wants to speak to you." He heard the receiver pass over, and then his daughter's quiet voice came through the phone. "Dad, are you really coming home?" James swallowed hard, tears streaming down his face. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm coming home, and I'm not leaving again." It wasn't an easy transition overnight. Rebuilding trust took months of showing up, attending every school play, and turning his phone off at 5 o'clock. But piece by piece, the distance melted away. 15 years passed. James retired early at 57, leaving the corporate world behind to live in a peaceful cottage near the lakes. He spent his days gardening and teaching his grandson how to fish. His daughter Emery was 30 now, happily married, and brought her 4-year-old son to visit every weekend. On the wall of James's living room, framed in dark walnut, hung that old hand-drawn paper tourist chart, his map to nowhere. It reminded him every single day that the wrong turn had saved his life. My friends, are you following a rigid road that is taking you away from the people you love? Don't be afraid to take a detour. Put down the calendar, step off the paved highway, and go home to the ones who are waiting for you. Because sometimes getting lost is the only way to find what truly matters. I'm Grandpa Ben, and this has been Grandpa Ben's Story Hour. Thank you for sitting with me today. If you needed to hear this, subscribe and join our storytelling family. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and don't be afraid to lose your way.